Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Judge Jeanine Pirro, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. It's finally here, folks, the blockbuster moment that could change everything in the razor-tight presidential race. The candidates finally come face-to-face tonight at the CNN presidential debate that you can watch right here on the Fox News channel. We hope you will. The pressure is on for both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. The president emerging from 7 days of seclusion at Camp David, where he crammed with 16 advisors. Biden's own campaign acknowledging to Politico that tonight will be a, quote, major turning point for better or worse. His opponent, Donald Trump, will be arriving in Atlanta this hour, and it looks like some eager fans have gathered to greet the former president on the tarmac once he gets there. A new batch of polls shows Trump is either beating or about tied with Joe Biden. Trump's campaign tells Fox that he is, quote, ready and confident. And both sides are clashing before the candidates take the stage.
Joe Biden has no defense for what he has done to America.
The Trump team is playing games that we've always seen them do, right? They like to use debates as entertainment. They play these games because they know on the issues that matter most to the American people, Donald Trump is a loser.
Joe Biden was preparing for this debate by practicing standing for 90 minutes. He was practicing the art of standing.
Remember what Trump said about Hillary Clinton? Everything he said would be disqualifying for her. He is now guilty of.
The leader of the free world, the president of this country, cannot debate prep and also govern at the same time. We haven't seen Joe Biden in an entire week.
Should President Biden shake Donald Trump's hand? Does he deserve that?
Well, that's up to President Biden. I wouldn't shake his hand.
The answer to that is yes, always. So you can bet that President Biden will try to make the debate about democracy and not his record.
What, in your view, constitutes the primary threat to freedom and democracy at home?
Donald Trump.
Trump is an existential, urgent threat to our democracy. He promises to rule as a dictator on day one.
It's Donald Trump who's the threat to democracy.
Trump and his movement, they are not running against Democrats. They're running against democracy.
Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy.
He's willing to sacrifice our democracy.
But a new poll from the Washington Post just blew up that key talking point. Donald Trump is trusted more than Biden on democracy among key swing state voters. Hardest hit, Greg, Joe Biden.
I love how they keep saying, like, they're, you know, the strategy is to find a way to trigger Trump. It's like, where have you been living? What leader has been more triggered than Joe Biden, right? Triggering is defined as a sudden flash of anger or frustration. That's pure Biden. I mean, from questions going back 30 years about his plagiarism to yelling at people in the audience. Come on, man. Trump doesn't snap. He trash talks, sometimes at length, but he knows that he has to roll with the punches almost as much as he throws the punches. I think, again, you're seeing Democrats projecting their flaws on the opposition. I think the Dems are also tripping on their own acid. Remember when Trump sat in courtrooms and slept? The same people that say that Trump is an agent of chaos were telling us that Trump was so relaxed in court. He was dozing during one of the most stressful moments of his life when he's on trial. So which one is Trump? The super relaxed guy or the guy that could snap at any moment? Forget the candidates. Focus on the hosts, right? The questions for Trump are going to be pointed, direct about abortion, January 6th, the court cases. But for Joe, the questions are going to be pretend tough. You know, they'll be like tough questions allowing for accessible handicap access. You know, they'll bring up at some point they're going to bring up Joe's age or whether he's unfit to serve, but they won't bring up the obvious physical and mental decline. They will talk about age specifically. That way, Joe can respond in a casual volley. Well, neither of us are spring chickens. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what the Hur report. I think that's what Trump should bring up. It's like, look, you know, I did stand trial, but the Hur report concluded that the president wasn't fit to stand trial. And shouldn't the American public, you know, be concerned about a president's obvious cognitive decline, independent of age? I think the thing that, people on TV giving advice, everybody's doing it. My advice to Trump is don't sound like cable news hosts. The kill shot isn't going to be bombastic. It's a casual, sincere, matter-of-fact question. In a way, Trump should be the moderator. Just ask basic questions about the past 4 years. You say inflation is down, but the prices of food are up. Do you realize that inflation is additive month by month? So even if the rate is declined, if the inflation rate declines, the prices still keep going up. Do you understand that, President Biden? It's a simple concept. I think you have to be really basic and relaxed. I just haven't seen what I think the Democrats are high on their own stash.
Harold, this morning's Gallup's favorability rating showed Biden at an all-time low and Trump at an all-time high. So that's kind of a tough way to go into a debate.
Good to be back.
Good to have you, Harold.
Where were you, Harold? I think that the polls are fluid. Jesse, we had a conversation a little over a week ago. A couple of weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, we talked about how the polls may move a bit. And our own poll, Fox poll, showed that Biden had gained a little bit. And the polls, I think, are going to go back and forth. 4 quick points. First, this is the most important 90 minutes of the campaign. I would argue the most important 90 minutes. You think about the last presidential elections, we've not had a debate. We've not had 90 minutes that are going to be this relevant, this important, this pivotal, and this determinative. Two, it's interesting. Both candidates need this. I remember during the Republican primary, Mr. Trump decided not to debate any of the candidates. He probably was right to do from a political standpoint because he was so far ahead. And President Biden, you can recall, maybe just a couple of months ago, said that he and his team didn't think that they would even debate Donald Trump. What's happened to polls? What's happened to 200,000 or 300,000 voters in these 6 states that are so critical, this tight race? So both of them have been spurred to do this by the politics and the realities in their campaign. 4, anyone that thinks that neither Trump or Biden are going to be prepared for this, I've heard a bunch of pundits and others on different networks and even ours, speculating about how they prepared, if they prepared. The American people should be assured of one thing. They have unorthodox and unique and different ways of preparing, but both Donald Trump is going to be uniquely and supremely prepared, and I think that Mr. Biden will be the same. 5, I think that Dana Bash and Jake Tapper are going to be tough, but I think they're going to be fair. I think they know the thing that you said. I think, Greg, you gave the best advice to both the candidates tonight, but particularly President Trump. No need to try to kill with one punch. He's got enough information and enough things. Some things I agree with, some things I don't, that he should just lay it all out, and I hope that President Biden does the same thing. And finally, the real winners are us, the voters, because if they do these things, this will be the first time. You think about most voters have not seen them stand side by side. Most voters don't remember the 2020 debates. I barely remember them, and I follow this and steeped in this business of politics. People are going to want to see where they stand on the border, where they stand on the economy, inflation, abortion, where they stand on Ukraine and the Middle East. And I think it's great. Unlike a big sporting event where you have a lot of analysis leading up to it, the participants, the fans don't get a real opportunity to play in the game. We can bet on the game but not play in it. We are the game as voters. So we have an opportunity tonight, whether you have a favorite candidate or not. I hope everyone listens, because regardless of who wins, we should all have an understanding of where these two come out on the issues. And tonight is that first 90 minutes. So I'm looking forward to it.
Judge, I've been fascinated by the Biden team's reluctance to admit that they have some problems. They act like they're 5 points ahead instead of 5 points behind in some of these polls.
I wonder about that, and I wonder about the whole concept of how they've got this thing, the preparation with 16 people in a hangar, people going in and out with golf carts. But now I understand that the setting tonight is a very big setting. It'll be an empty setting. It's almost an auditorium-like setting. So it's that they were getting Joe Biden ready for this kind of, it sounds like a vacuous hall. But to me, in response to what Greg is saying, and Harold as well, tonight's the prize fight. It is estimated, Harold, that 73% of Americans are going to watch this fight tonight. It is unbelievable. And, I think the president who has more at stake here is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is behind, and I get what you're saying that the polls change and all that. But Joe Biden is behind, even though after the conviction there was some question about the movement and the numbers. But the truth is that Joe Biden risks being overprepared. As I said, I mean, I've done debates. You got 16 people coming at you. Who's in your head right now? And you're so overprepared that when you're there, it's a split moment. That camera is on you. You've got to be able to respond instinctively, not like say, is this the bad Trump or the good Trump? Or do I bait him or don't I bait him? If you have to reach back into your mind, Dana, that takes a second, and the audience gets it immediately. Now, my question is, will they be able to ask each other questions? And also, where is the camera going to be? To me, the most important part of this debate is the control room. So they can turn that monitor off and say, you know what, we're going to mute the other guy. But the question is the other guy who may still be talking in the talker's ear still? And will the other guy be shown? So is the camera then just on the guy who's talking, or will the camera be on the guy who's not talking? Because there's a lot of nonverbal communications that the public also gets some feedback on.
Those are usually the big moments.
They are the big moments. And, you know, we saw it in the last debate. And you cannot deny that Donald Trump has that quick wit where Hillary's walking around talking about taxes and, you know, Donald Trump's, you know, if I were, you'd be in jail. I mean, he is that guy.
I don't think
Joe
the format
Biden
lends itself to that tonight, though.
But you don't know. You don't know. The question is, will they see him? Will they see his faces? Last night, I hosted Laura's show, and they had a whole collage of Donald Trump's faces during one of the debates. It was hysterical. Every face you could read. But just the last thing I want to say is that the idea that Joe Biden's being told there's got to be high drama clashes on popular economic issues, which is in one of those memos, the American people don't want that. They want to know, can I afford things? Right. And will I be able to survive? Will you survive? And by the way, are you going to be the president, or is Kamala Harris going to be the one?
Jesse, what's it like to be so overprepared?
I wouldn't know, Dana. Maybe Judge Jeanine knows the answer to this. I know the guys don't know. If you have milk in the refrigerator and it's open, but it's in the refrigerator, does it spoil?
No.
You mean the top is off?
The top is off.
No, you think you're okay.
It'll spoil. No, because
it'll spoil.
Okay, because I'm either nervous or I had spoiled milk. And I don't know which one. It could be both, but I'm freaking out.
You're okay.
I'm freaking out, Dana. This is a big moment, and I don't know what to expect. And anybody that says they know what to expect, they don't know what's going to happen. Joe could have a great night. He could come out and mispronounce someone's name and be up-tempo, and the media calls him a winner. He could also drool, and the media would say that's the greatest drool I've ever seen in my entire life. Donald Trump, I agree. He's got to be calm. And a little dismissive.
Yep.
This guy has no common sense. I'd almost feel pity for Joe Biden. I'd say, listen, I'm sure you don't remember, but I handed you a vaccine, a recovering economy, and a secure border, and you blew it. Let me take it from here. Don't worry, Joe. I'm not going to get revenge. It's time for you to retire. You're not worth it. You left me a big enough mess to clean up. I'll be a little busy. Just be like that. Okay, if they mention Jan 6, say there's other days in the calendar. Joe, what are you going to make it a federal holiday again? Be my guest. Make it a federal holiday. If they mention abortion, you pivot to the economy. Every time they talk about anything you don't like, because you know the first question from CNN is going to be, will you accept the results of the election?
Yes.
Second question could be global warming. I mean, you don't know what they're going to ask.
But you do. You do. And then it'll be abortion.
Abortion, global warming, and threats to democracy. And Trump just has to he has to absorb the question and then shape it into something about your cost of living and your quality of life.
But he can answer the abortion question. He's back at the states. He said it's in the rightful spot that states are deciding.
Sure.
Done.
And I would spend as little time on abortion as possible.
Pivot.
And that's what he wants. Right. Talk about the price of bacon. Talk about the price of gas. Use those kind of sticky graphic language things that Trump does that people are going to remember before they go to sleep.
The other thing is President Trump has actually been out with the voters, so he can talk about people that he's actually met, like the cheesesteak guy that we've mentioned.
Talk about cheesesteaks.
President Biden hasn't really been out there with the folks, as they call them.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.